A few years ago, someone asked me a simple question. If I have a few $100s, what do I actually do with it? They weren't asking about theory. They didn't want general advice or vague statements like, just invest long term. What they were really asking was something much more practical. Where do I go? What do I click? What do I buy first? And what happens after that? That question is where most people get stuck. It's not that investing itself is complicated, it's that the starting point feels unclear. There are too many apps, too many opinions, and too many conflicting strategies. One person says to buy individual stocks. Another says to wait for a market crash. Someone else says you need thousands of dollars before it's even worth starting. When you're hearing all of that at once, it's easy to hesitate. So instead of moving forward, people pause. They read more, watch more, think more, and end up doing nothing. And while they're waiting, something important is happening in the background. Time is passing. And in investing, time is one of the most powerful factors you have. The earlier you start, the more opportunity your money has to grow. Delaying the start, even by a few years, can make a noticeable difference over the long term. Today, we're going to remove that friction completely. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to open an investment account, how to move money into it, how to make your first investment, and how to avoid the most common mistakes that cause beginners to stall out early. This is designed for real people, people with jobs, responsibilities, and limited time who want a simple, reliable way to get started. So, let's begin with the first decision you need to make, which has nothing to do with picking investments. It's where you're going to invest. Before you can buy anything, you need a brokerage account. A brokerage account is simply a financial account that allows you to purchase investments like stocks and ETFs. It holds your investments, tracks their value, and gives you the ability to buy and sell when you choose. If you've never used one before, it may sound technical, but in practice, it's very similar to using a banking app. You log in, see your balance, and make transactions. Except instead of transferring money between accounts, you're buying investments. In the United States, there are several well-established brokerage firms, but three of the most commonly used are Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and Vanguard. These are large, regulated financial institutions that offer commission-free trading on most stocks and ETFs, along with no minimum deposit requirements for standard brokerage accounts. At this stage, the goal is not to find the perfect platform. It's to choose one and move forward. All three of these brokers are capable, and for most beginners, the differences between them are less important than simply getting started. Fidelity is often considered a strong option for beginners because of its straightforward interface and its ability to invest in dollar amounts rather than requiring full shares. That said, Schwab and Vanguard are equally valid choices. The key is to pick one and begin. If you want a clear starting point, you can check the description for the official broker websites and follow along step by step. Once you've chosen your broker, the next step is opening the account. This is often where people expect things to become complicated, but in reality, it's a straightforward process that typically takes about 10 to 15 minutes. You'll go to the brokerage website, select the option to open a new account, and choose an individual brokerage account. From there, you'll enter standard personal information such as your name, address, social security number, and date of birth. You'll also answer a few basic questions about your income, investing experience, and financial goals. These questions are not designed to test you or evaluate your knowledge. They're simply part of the account setup process and are required for regulatory purposes. Once you submit the application, many accounts are approved quickly, sometimes within minutes.